Hello Incarnation third graders. Welcome back for another week of reading. This is week 7. You have just 2 more stories left in your third grade reader, which is very exciting. So we're getting to the end. This story is called Dog of the Sea Waves, and I am going to start on page 308 with some vocabulary words to warm you up, and then we'll set a purpose and start reading. The first vocabulary word is voyage, right here. The explorer's voyage or ocean trip to Hawaii took more than a year. A voyage is a long trip, and it's usually in the ocean, on a ship. Number 2, lava. I know you've heard that word before, lava. Hawaii's islands formed from lava, or hot melted rock from volcanoes. There's the definition right in the sentence there. Lava is hot melted rock from volcanoes. Number 3, rippled. The lava in Hawaii rippled into tiny black waves as it cooled. The word rippled means to form tiny waves. So think about any time you've thrown maybe a pebble into a pond and you see those little waves coming out from the pebble. Those are called ripples. Number 4, arrival. When visitors first come to Hawaii, their arrival is welcomed. Arrival means you are getting to your destination, getting to your place. And I think in Hawaii, just like this picture, you would get a colorful necklace of flowers. Number 5, guided. The man guided or led tours through a park in Hawaii. Guided means to show you the way. So obviously when you're on vacation or someplace you don't know a lot about, you might go on a guided tour of someone who knows the area well to do some explanation for you. Number 6, twisted. These girls twisted wire flowers to attach them to crowns. Twisted means to wound together so it becomes a single strand. So in Hawaii they are using the flowers and wire and twisting them to make the necklaces. Number 7, aboard. Each racing canoe has 6 people aboard. They are seated in the boat. Aboard means that you are inside the vehicle, such as a ship or a boat or a train or a car. So you are aboard the boat. Number 8, anchor. A heavy anchor holds this boat in place when the boat is stopped. The anchor is the object that keeps the ship in place when it's stopped, usually on a rope that they throw overboard and it sinks to the bottom. Number 9, spotted. The tourists spotted or caught sight of whales in the ocean near Hawaii. There's the definition right in the sentence for you, caught sight of. So when you spot something, you see it. And the last word, bay. People can swim, snorkel, or sail in the gentle waters of this bay or inlet. A bay is the part of the sea that cuts into land. And if you can see from the picture, it's kind of along the shore there, and a bay is an inlet, water near a shore. Okay, turn now to page 311. You may have noticed from those vocabulary words that this story is in fact about Hawaii, and we are going to read a little bit about volcanoes in Hawaii. So listen as I read for some background knowledge. The Hawaiian Islands are lush, green, and beautiful. It is hard to believe that they were formed from red-hot, bubbling rock rising from deep inside the earth. When the melted rock cooled, it hardened into land and formed islands. Plants such as palms and animals such as seals found their way to the islands. Eventually, people did too. In Dog of the Sea Waves, you'll read a story of 5 young men who explored these volcanic islands long ago. You'll find out what happens when one of the volcanoes wakens from its rest. So while you read this story, I'd like you to think about, what do you know already about volcanoes? Because that's going to help you understand a little more about the story. And maybe, what would you like to know about volcanoes? Turn now to page 312. The genre of this story, called Dog of the Sea Waves, is realistic fiction. So this is a story that could actually happen in real life. There are realistic characters, they do real things, there is a beginning, middle, and end to the story, and there's a lot of details in the story to help you understand where it's taking place. And in this case, that's Hawaii. So just listen for the story being a story of real events. The author and the illustrator is James Rumford. A longtime resident of Hawaii, James Rumford hoped his readers will learn aloha ana, or to cherish these islands, as much as he does. Scattered throughout the pages of Dog of the Sea Waves are drawings of plants and animals that are found in Hawaii. Many of them are at risk of dying out. Rumford included these to show that Hawaii's natural beauty needs our protection. And I do like how this illustrator illustrated the story in sort of a watercolor format, because it really does brighten up the colors to kind of make you think you are there right in Hawaii. So I like the way the illustrator used that. Okay, if you can look at this picture, we're going to do a little setting of purpose on this story. This picture has it looks like a seal, and you can see on the back is a little boy swimming also. And because of the title, Dog of the Sea Waves, and because it's a realistic fiction, we're going to set our purpose to be, we want to find out a little bit more about the events that is happening with the seal and the boy. So what is happening? Does the boy find the seal? Is the boy live in Hawaii? Let's just think about the events with the boy and the seal. We are now on page 314. So by now I hope you have your book, so follow along with me as I read. 5 brothers explore the Hawaiian Islands. Manu, the youngest brother, saves the life of an injured seal, and the two become friends. When it's time for the brothers to go home, Manu is unsure if he'll ever see his friend again. So that was just a little snapshot about what could happen. In the days when the sun, the moon, the stars guided birds with seeds in their bellies to these islands, when ocean waves brought driftwood teeming with life, when storms brought frightened birds in the clouds and the insects on the wind, the Hawaiian Islands grew green and lush. The streams and lagoons rippled with fish, and the forests flashed with the feathers of birds and the rainbow wings of insects. So you can see already that they are kind of setting the stage for describing Hawaii and describing how lush and beautiful the Hawaiian grounds are. You'll also notice throughout this story that there are little pictures of animals or plants, and they do that to show you some of those endangered species in Hawaii. Page 316. The Hawaiian Islands welcomed all life that made the long, long journey to its shores, and some 2,000 years ago, they embraced the first people to come. In those days of first canoes, first footprints, first campfires, there were 5 brothers who came from their home far to the south to explore these islands. They were Hoku, who loved the stars, Nahala, who loved the sea, Opu, who loved clouds, Makani, who loved the wind, and Manu, who loved the birds. So you can tell that there are 5 brothers, and they obviously like different things. And that they kind of described what they liked about nature in Hawaii there. Page 317. One night soon after their arrival, Hoku said, "See, my brothers, that new star I have discovered, it's always pointing north." Everyone except Manu looked at the sparkling North Star. Everyone except Manu began talking excitedly about all the other new things they had discovered. "New things," Manu explained. "I miss the old things. Where are the cocoons, the bananas, the sweet potatoes? And how about the pigs and the chickens and the dogs?" "We'll go home and bring these things back here with us," said Hoku. "We're coming back?" Manu cried. "I don't want to come back. I just want to go home." But home was a long ocean voyage away, and there was much to do before they could leave. Food and water to gather, and sails to repair. So no one spoke. So we're learning a little bit about Mono here, and how he's missing his old life at his house, and he hasn't adjusted quite to what they're doing here in Hawaii. Page 318. The next day, as the brothers were exploring a lagoon, Manu spotted an animal lying at the water's edge. "It's a dog, my brothers, a dog." At last, something familiar in this strange land. But when they got close, they saw that it was like no dog they had ever seen before. It had flippers for legs, a fishtail, and the body of a dolphin. And it was badly hurt. Manu tried to calm the animal. He brought cool water and cleaned the wound. He built a shelter against the sun and kept the fur wet with seawater. The brothers left Manu. They had no time for an animal that was going to die. They had to prepare for the long sea voyage home. So here we're learning a little bit more about Manu's character and how caring he was, and how he does miss his life back home. He thought it was a dog because that may be one of the only animals he knew. He didn't really know what kind of animal this was. And you can guess by the description there that it is not a dog, in fact. It has flippers and a tail and a dolphin, and that it is a seal. But the animal didn't die. "I will call you Dog of the Sea Waves," Manu said on the third day, and he fed him fish. At the end of the week, the two had their first swim together, and before long they were playing tag in the waves. Manu made up a silly chant. "Dog of the sea waves, dog with no paws, dog with no ears, dog with no wag. We are friends." Manu giggled, and Dog of the Sea Waves tickled his cheek with his whiskers. So he makes up a name, Dog of the Sea Waves, because he has never seen this kind of animal before, and he knows that it's a swimming animal. Page 320. "Come help me dry berries and roots for the voyage home," called Hoku. "We need fish," scolded Nahala. "There's water to gather," scowled Upa. "And sails to repair," cried Makani. But Manu pretended not to hear. Instead, he and Dog of the Sea Waves played together and got into all kinds of trouble. They terrorized the fish Nahala was trying to catch. They made a mess of the beach where Hoku was drying food. They played with Makani's ropes and accidentally pulled Upa's gourds off the boat, tripping Makani, who fell into the water. No one laughed. The two were separated, and Manu was put to work. So here we have on this page that Manu is not really missing home anymore. He's feeling comfortable with his friend. He's enjoying his time a little too well because he's getting into trouble and not helping as much as he should. 321. Manu gathered berries for Hoku. He caught fish for Nahala and fetched water for Upa. He twisted rope for Makani, but every evening, after his work was done, he slipped off to meet his friend, and they played in the waves until it got too dark to see. Then Manu swam ashore, and Dog of the Sea Waves went hunting for food. After many months of hard work, the boat was finally ready to leave. At the last moment, Mahanu dived into the water to say goodbye to Dog of the Sea Waves. And as the brother yelled for Manu to get aboard, Dog of the Sea Waves brushed his whiskers against Manu's cheek and then disappeared beneath the waves. So obviously they've grown in friendship, and you can see in that picture how the boat is kind of far out in the ocean and Dog of the Sea Waves is just watching his friend leave. Page 322. The brothers sailed down the island chain. When they came to the last island, Upa said, "Is that a cloud on the side of the mountain or smoke? Let's go see." Curious, the brothers anchored their boat in a quiet bay and swam ashore. Halfway up the mountain, Makani felt a warm wind and hesitated, but his brothers told him not to worry. After a few more steps, Manu noticed that the birds were silent, but his brothers paid no attention. Then a jolt. So from that page, can you make a prediction about what's happening? They feel a warm wind, they notice the birds have gone silent, and then they feel a jolt. Most likely a volcano. The earth heaved up and slammed the brothers to the ground. Deep cracks appeared, and then flames. Hoku grabbed Manu's hand, and the brothers fled down the slope. But a river of fire cut them off from the sea and forced them to the cliffs. The earth shuddered, and the 5 brothers jumped into the sea far below. Page 324. But the sea they landed in was a monster. It thrashed from the earthquakes. It hissed from the burning lava. It lashed out at the brothers and grabbed Manu. In an instant, he was gone. So really they're just comparing the sea to a monster. There is no monster in the sea, but because of the earthquake and the volcano, the sea waves have become like a monster. Makani filled his lungs with air and went to the very depths of the ocean, but there was no signs of Manu. Opua, with his voice like thunder, shouted for Manu above the crashing waves, but there was no answer. Nahala, who loved the sea, begged it to be calm, but it wouldn't listen. At this time, Manu was fighting to get to the surface, but the sea wouldn't let go. Then he felt whiskers. Manu clasped his arms around Dog of the Sea Waves, and up they went. So there's that friendship again of Dog of the Sea Waves finding him and saving him. Page 326. It was Hoku who spotted them. The brothers raced towards Manu and cradled him above the waves. "Manu, Manu," they cried over and over as they made their way to the boat. And to Dog of the Sea Waves they chanted their thanks. Dog that swims the depths, dog that braves the currents, dog that knows the sea, dog that cares for our brother. The brothers then weighed anchor and headed for the southern sea and home. Manu stood on the deck and listened to Dog of the Sea Waves barking goodbye. "We'll be back," Manu shouted. So because they grew in friendship, Dog of the Sea Waves did save his life, much like Manu saved Dog of the Sea Waves' life at the beginning of the story. And the moral of that story is friends do help each other. And when they returned, they came with their families. They embraced the land and made it their home. So Manu's character kind of changed throughout the story. At the beginning, he was really missing his home and he didn't really feel comfortable in Hawaii. But now they've traveled back home and brought their families to live in this area, and so he does feel more comfortable. And of course, extra comfortable with his friend Dog of the Sea Waves there. Okay, this week for your reading work, you are completing an online assessment, and Mrs. Frazee has made a video about how to get on that. We've also posted links to get onto the online assessment, but please read this story 2 more times before you take that assessment. You can either listen to it in audio again or read it with a parent or an older sibling. and then go ahead and take that online test. Happy reading!